I found Atomic Habits at rock bottom after yet another failed New Year's resolution. But James Clear doesn't sell you motivation or willpower. He sells you architecture. Small, boring tweaks that stack into unstoppable momentum. What hooked me was realizing I'd been doing it backwards, obsessing over results instead of falling in love with the system. This book made improvement feel inevitable, not impossible. I'll admit I was skeptical at first. Another self-help book promising to fix my life? But within the first few chapters, Clear had me. He opens with his own story, a brutal baseball accident in high school that shattered his face and nearly ended his career. Yet through tiny, consistent habits, he rebuilt himself into an academic All-American athlete. That story set the tone. This isn't about willpower or motivation, it's about systems. What really struck me was Clear's central thesis. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. I'd spent years setting ambitious goals and wondering why I kept failing. Turns out, I was focusing on outcomes instead of processes. Atomic Habits taught me that identity-based habits, deciding who you want to become, then proving it to yourself with small wins, are the real game changer. Every action is a vote for the type of person you wish to be. That reframe alone made this book worth it. The core of the book revolves around what James Clear calls the 4 laws of behavior change. These laws form a simple, actionable framework for building good habits and breaking bad ones. I loved how practical this felt. No abstract theory, just tools I could use immediately. First law, make it obvious. Most of our habits are invisible. We sleepwalk through routines without realizing it. One technique that hit home was habit stacking, anchoring a new habit to an existing one. For example, after I pour my morning coffee, I'll meditate for 2 minutes. I started doing push-ups after brushing my teeth, and within weeks it felt automatic. Clear also emphasizes environment design, making cues for good habits visible, and hiding triggers for bad ones. I moved my guitar from the closet to the living room. Suddenly, I was playing daily instead of monthly. But here's the inversion. Make it invisible. To break bad habits, I deleted social media apps from my phone's home screen, adding friction to mindless scrolling. Clear's point is powerful. Reduction is as important as addition. Sometimes the best system is removing the cue entirely. This dual framing made me realize habit change isn't one-directional. It's about controlling visibility in both directions. Second law, make it attractive. Here, Clear dives into dopamine and temptation bundling, pairing something you need to do with something you want to do. I started listening to my favorite podcast only during workouts. Suddenly, the gym became something I craved. He also talks about joining cultures where your desired behavior is normal. Surround yourself with people who embody the identity you want, and the habit feels natural, not forced. The flip side, make it unattractive for bad habits. Reframe them. Highlight the cost instead of the reward. I used to see late-night snacking as a reward after a long day. Now I frame it as stealing energy from tomorrow's version of me. That mental shift made saying no feel empowering, not depriving. Attraction is malleable, and we can engineer our cravings. Third law, make it easy. This might be my favorite. Clear introduces the 2-minute rule. And when starting a new habit, scale it down until it takes less than 2 minutes. Want to read more? Read 1 page. Want to run daily? Just put on your running shoes. The genius is this. Showing up is the hardest part. Once you start, momentum takes over. I applied this to writing, committing to typing 1 sentence every morning. Most days, that sentence turned into paragraphs. But even on tough days, I honored the system. Clear stresses reducing friction for good habits and increasing it for bad ones. I prepped my gym bag the night before, eliminating morning excuses. And for breaking bad habits, make it difficult. I unplugged my TV and stored the remote in another room. Suddenly, binge watching required effort, and my evening reading habit flourished. This law reminded me, willpower is overrated. Environment design does the heavy lifting. Fourth law, make it satisfying. Humans repeat what feels rewarding. Clear recommends habit tracking. Visually marking progress creates immediate satisfaction. I started crossing off days on a calendar after meditating, and watching that chain grow became addictive in the best way. He warns, don't break the chain twice. Miss once, life happens. Miss twice, you're forming a new pattern. And the inversion, make it unsatisfying. For bad habits. I had a friend text me $10 every time I skipped a workout. Accountability through pain. Clear discusses habit contracts and accountability partners as tools to attach consequences to unwanted behavior. Dissatisfaction, like satisfaction, can be engineered to serve your goals. So, what's changed for me since reading Atomic Habits? Everything, really. I lost 12 pounds in 3 months, not through crash diets, but by tweaking my environment to make healthy snacks obvious and junk food invisible. I've written over 50,000 words by honoring the 2-minute rule every morning. My apartment stays cleaner because I stack tidying onto brewing coffee. These aren't heroic efforts. They're tiny, boring adjustments that compounded into a completely different life. But here's what surprised me most. This system works for big goals too. I'd wanted to transition careers for years, but felt paralyzed by the enormity of it. Clear's approach helped me break it down. 15 minutes daily, learning a new skill. 1 networking coffee per week. 6 months in, I'd built a portfolio and landed interviews I never thought possible. The career pivot I'd been postponing suddenly had momentum. What I love most is that Clear made me stop waiting for motivation or inspiration. Those are unreliable. Systems are forever. I've stopped obsessing over outcomes and started falling in love with the process. Every small action is proof of who I'm becoming. The person I was a year ago wouldn't recognize my routines now. And that's the point. If you've ever felt stuck in a cycle of failed resolutions or fleeting motivation, this book will flip the script. It's not about willpower, it's about architecture. Building an environment and identity where the right choices become effortless. James Clear gave me a blueprint, and I'm still building from it every single day. One tiny habit at a time. If this summary resonated with you, I'd love for you to hit that like button. It helps more people discover these ideas. And if you want more breakdowns of books that actually work in real life, subscribe and turn on notifications. Let's keep building better systems together. Thanks for watching.